Hello and welcome to A Matter of Fact, a weekly podcast that examines a few interesting facts and then has a long stern talk with itself about what it's doing with its life. With me this week I have Max Wilkins.
Hello.
Simon Egan.
Hi.
Laura Stevens.
Hello.
And I'm your host Kirby Rawstorn. The game is simple. Each week there is a different topic consisting of 5 rounds, each with its own theme. We've all spent the week researching and have brought our favourite facts for each round to tell the others. Whoever has the most popular fact wins a point, and whoever gets the best out of 5 is the overall winner. For our third episode, the topic is ancient Greece, a group of cities, kingdoms and principalities that existed where the country of Greece now resides today. Round 1 is food and drink, and we're starting with Max.
Thanks, Kirby. Yeah, my answer for round 1, my fact for food and drink, is that certain citizens in ancient Greece didn't eat a certain kind of bean as they believed that it contained the souls of the dead. This all came around through a gentleman known as Pythagoras of the theorem of fame. He had a cult that worshipped him like a god of numbers who could express everything logically and essentially believed that he could boil down the entire universe to be solved like an equation. A bit ironic, worshipping him like a god. One of their edicts is that they didn't eat meat, but they also didn't eat a certain kind of bean known as the fava bean. The general population of Greece, or the area surrounding that particular cult, believed that this was due to the beans containing the souls of the dead, their relatives that hadn't made it to the afterlife. Possible real reason is that Pythagoras and ancient medical minds were avoiding favism, which is a certain kind of anemia brought on by eating fresh fava beans. And that's an issue that still affects Southeast Europe, India and Asia today.
I guarantee anybody, as soon as they hear fava beans, they're just going to hear him go...
I researched this for an hour and a half and I never made that connection.
Wow.
I never made that connection.
Quite impressed.
Did you? I was like, that's quite interesting, but I'm not sure whether it's going to be.
Did you connect it with anti-farting as well? Because that was the first thing I thought of.
I thought, yeah.
People didn't eat beans because there were dead people in them.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Yeah.
And that was the dead person trying to escape their body.
That's the only way they could get them to the afterlife.
God, what kind of
the connection with sulfur and Hades, etc.
Oh. Yeah.
It all makes so much sense now.
You really
I was sat there like
a primary school. We're at the high school table.
I was I was sat there just going, that's a very interesting
just point out,
fact.
I'm behind the gym smoking a fag.
That's fine.
I'm at the back of the boat sheds researching ancient Greece.
Well, if you're around the back of the boat sheds, you must be researching ancient Greece.
Of course.
No boat sheds in my school.
Got a very posh voice, but I didn't punt. I've never punted.
Well, I don't. You brought boat sheds into the conversation. Most people say bike sheds. No. Yes, Joffrey.
Yeah.
Did we make Max's fact more interesting for him?
Apparently so.
No, I think we didn't make it more interesting because it was quite interesting. We actually made it a little bit more relevant to modern society.
It is. We did.
Congratulations to us.
I feel more grown up now. Farting! Yeah!
We're not just expressing thoughts, we're evolving it. And also making jokes about farting.
Yeah.
So,
Very good.
Off to a high. Okay, Simon, you're up next.
Okay, my category that I'm talking about is a very, very, very exciting part of food and drink. Bread.
I love bread.
Well, I try to keep it as relevant to my life as possible, to make it quite interesting, at least for me, in the 15 minutes I took to write this. But that's neither here nor there. Basically, the ancient Greeks had quite a limited supply of grain to make bread. So, if there were the only real grains that they could grow was emmer and barley. Which, as anybody who knows any ingredients of bread know that that's not a common ingredient of bread. So the breads that they could make were mostly flatbreads, mostly cakes and stuff like that were called maza. And the Romans, in their infinite wit, as we all know, the Romans were very witty, they would call the Greeks barley eaters.
Well, I think they used to call the gladiators barley eaters as well, or barley men possibly. I can't remember. It's one of the two. Because they were a bit chubby as well. Because they used to.
Are you sure they mean burly?
They could have called them burly men, yeah.
I never associated gladiators with being rotund.
No. They used to eat
The
this.
short lifespan kind of cut that choice out, really, didn't it?
They were vegan as well, most of them.
Could this fact be the origin of the Greek cuisine? So, the flatbread, the meats, the salads on top.
The flatbed?
The flatbread. The flatbread.
Flatbread. Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's the thing about it. Like, apparently Greece wasn't a great place to grow wheat. So the only things that were like in the rocky sort of ground and whatnot, the two things they could grow were emmer and barley,
That makes
which is quite difficult for. Well, I mean, considering that during the times of ancient Greece, they had maybe two types of bread, and they were flatbreads. But by the 1400s BC, there was anything up to 50 to 70 different kinds of breads. Just as as they all progressed with things and had technologies, as in, say, ordinary households would have pottery ovens to cook the breads and stuff in. Whereas as things got on and as the whole place progressed, you'd have bakeries started to pop up in places like Athens and stuff like that, and they'd work all through the night so that people could come down to the market and buy breads.
I'm trying to work a Greg's joke in here somewhere, but I just can't for the life of me.
But the
Gregus.
One other interesting fact was Socrates. He didn't like whole grain bread.
He was a Mighty White fan.
Yeah, he felt that whole grain breads were for pigs.
Oh, right, so kind of peasant food.
I don't know if he liked the bacon sandwich, just white with bacon, and he just liked having the grains and stuff to make a better bacon sandwich. I'm not sure. I know he was quite a good philosopher, so maybe he had a whole bacon grain bread philosophy on this sort of thing, but I can't say for sure. There's nothing in anything.
The important question is, did he have brown sauce or tomato?
Well, in ancient Greece, he probably just beat up some herbs and stuffed them in there.
Pesto.
Yeah, pesto.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, that's beautiful. I'd just like to say that I love whole grain in all of its forms, whole grain bread, everything, and I've never considered Socrates my enemy until this point. This is what this podcast has done to me.
That's correct, folks. For everybody at home, Max likes all forms of bread.
All forms of bread. All forms of bread. Please.
Equality.
Equality in the bread products, yeah. I'd just like to point out for somebody that did 15 minutes work, they've just made my research look like a piece of shit.
No, your Ferry beans are fantastic.
Your pities.
I was generally impressed with the dead people smelling beans. That was
Dead people smelling beans.
Yeah.
That was actually the title.
Moving swiftly onwards, the next fact is mine, and mine is that Spartans ate black soup. So what do you need in order to become a super badass Spartan warrior? Simple. You just have a diet of black soup. How do you make it? Boil up some pig's legs, blood, salt, sugar and vinegar. Other Spartan traditions included boys in Sparta being sent to the military camps at the age of 7, learning how to read and write at 14, and military service until 60.
So basically, their soup is basically a less
Black
congealed version of black pudding.
Yeah, I saw that and I thought it was, yeah.
Because that's the thing. There's so many people that think, oh, well, black pudding usually separates a room. There's either people who love it or hate. There's never someone who goes, it's okay. It's one or two things. People either try it and spit it across the room, or they go, oh, this is quite nice.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I'm a lover.
Well, as we know from the film,
Sorry,
300, it may be.
a very factually accurate movie. Yes.
Just.
Oh, you mean the documentary?
The
300?
documentary. As we all know from the documentary 300, Spartans potentially not the most caring group, but just from your description, that sounds like it tastes god awful. Blood.
I think it might have,
salts and vinegar.
No, cows. Pig's legs as well.
Just pig's legs.
Pig's legs.
Not the haunch, the trotter.
Yeah.
The foot and everything. Just chuck it in there.
Yeah, but that's
Well,
going to
people do
create...
that now.
Thickens the broth.
Yeah, no, you'd have more gelatin in there. You'd have more flavour from there being a bone in there. You'd have skin. You'd probably use some salt in there to flavour it. The vinegar would break it down, make it more tender, and then you've got a caramelisation process going on. Thank
you, Nigella.
No, I genuinely in one succinct argument, she's actually changed my mind. I really actually would like to try some of this. You've sold it to me.
Anyway,
well, I'm convinced that an awful lot of stuff that, say, food style, like for sauces and stuff like that, considering that what it takes to make it, it's not just a culinary thing. I think a lot of the times when people in certain situations, they were looking at ways to make alcohol. Because when you look at most sauces and stuff like that, you have vegetables and whatever. Most of the time, you end up adding sugars or it depends on what you had to hand at the time. It was sugars and yeast. Basically, if you had those two ingredients, you could ferment what you're mixing up into a drink.
Laura, you're up next.
Well, I'm going back to bread.
We're always going back to bread.
The
thing is about this podcast is we love carbs.
As the podcast's foremost fan of bread, I completely endorse this. I'm happy with this.
Yeah,
I'm cool with it. After the heaviness of actually having to serve in the Spartan army till the age of 60, I'm quite happy to go back to bread too.
Okay, so French toast, yummy. I think I prefer the idea of Greek toast, to be fair, because the most often had breakfast in ancient Greece for the majority of people was in fact bread dipped in wine.
I know quite a few people that would be quite happy with that as a breakfast.
Yeah, I can think of a couple as well. To be fair, I don't really like it, to be honest.
You get rid of that no drinking before noon. Really
I wouldn't mind if it was like a reduced one. It'd have to be like reduced to like a kind of balsamic-y, vinegary type of...
Majority. That's the thing about wine in Greek culture. A lot of people drank wine as something to drink, but it was watered down.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I found out during my research is that it was actually considered
barbaric.
It was actually considered barbaric to drink wine without diluting it, and it was also considered barbaric to drink milk as it's full.
Another thing that we've should probably mention at this point is that Laura's actually filling in for someone who's sick today.
So we've replaced someone who was sick with someone who was sick in the head. Happy days.
Anyway, I believe you have a joke for us, Laura. Do you have a joke about bread or vaguely related to food?
No, I don't.
What do you have a joke about?
Easy listeners, comedy FHing. Brace yourselves.
So, in the short time, me and my colleagues at work...
Oh yeah, Team Lister.
Woo! Decided to brainstorm some half-assed facts for this.
Easy now, mate.
Tiffany also supplied us with some ancient Greek-inspired jokes. Why did God invent wine? So Dionysus could never rule the world. I have no idea what that joke means.
Right, Dionysus was basically this really...
he was
a Greek god.
Dionysus.
Dionysus.
What you need to do when the kidneys shut down, presumably through too much wine.
Maybe that's why they call it dialysis.
Yeah, Dionysus was basically the god of wine and partying and having a good time. And he was an offspring of someone or other quite impressive. So basically he was like Hercules, that kind of level of demigod.
He was a son of a god.
Yeah, he was either a god or a son of a god. I can't remember.
Well, it's quite. Man.
Yeah.
Not to say that it's relevant to the conversation, but most people say that there's a similar joke. God invented alcohol to stop the Irish ruining the world.
Right, okay, so that's the end of round one. Way! Thanks, Tiffany, for the jokes. Who are we voting for? So we've got Max with his no beans, Simon's bread, my black soup, and Laura's bread and wine. Max, who are you voting for?
It was a toss-up between Laura and Simon because bread...
It usually is.
Yeah.
Hi, Simon, who I've never met before this evening.
Yes, continue.
Beautiful. The toss-up, for want of a better word, between the two bread facts, but it's got to be Simon, because just the sheer level of research that he's done blew my mind. Blew it.
I'm sorry, I did not bring samples of bread and wine for you to sample.
Nor did he blow my mind.
Oh, I thought you said blind as well. That didn't even make sense to me.
Yeah, sorry. It was a good joke.
Yeah,
it was a good joke, but it did sound like blind.
Did it?
Yeah.
Yes, which is...
Right, so for me, I think I'm going to have to go with the really weird reincarnated fava beans of Max.
Yes.
Laura, what are you going with?
I'm going to have to go with the other bread. As you know, my fact about bread would not be a fact about bread without his fact about bread, and therefore I think they have to go together.
Well, that puts me in a difficult position because I could win the round by voting for anybody except Max.
We'll just vote for everything because you can both win the round.
I gotta go with the dead smelling.
The dead smelling beans.
Did I just win the first round?
What?
Yes.
Yes.
You and Simon both won the first round.